This is Bold Move Radio.
Streaming 24/7.
24/7.
Africa, Africa.
Boldly breaking barriers and limitations.
Good evening, and welcome. This is the Conversation with Pastor Strike, and tonight on the conversation, we're going to be looking at applications, admissions to institutions of higher learning. I have my guests today who are going to really cast a lot of light on this particular subject. The reason we have this show tonight and this radio program tonight is because there is a serious need for our children to know when to apply. We know that our schools are doing their best, but we want to keep on hammering this very important truth that applications needs to be done and done early so that there are no disappointment at the end of the day. You'll agree with me, and I sit here as a pastor. I've heard a lot of children that did not get admissions into institutions of higher learning in the academic year 2022, and it's not nice. You know, you see children crying, disgruntled and frustrated after having worked for 12 years, and you pass your matric and you're hoping you're going to varsity or you're going to college and you don't get admission. It's not good news at all. But there are, again, there is also an issue of APS scoring, which also is really a challenge to most of our learners, to most of our children, only to find because of the APS scoring, they are not really getting admitted, because you must understand these institutions of higher learning, they admit Black, white, colored, Indian is a heavy competition. So today and this year, we have the grade 12s that are going to varsity, that are going to colleges next year, and we are competing in that space. So that is why I felt it very important tonight to make sure that we are in conversation with these professionals. We have got Professor G.P. Paloy from UNISA. He's in the College of Education. And also we have got Dr. R.S. Minga, also who is with TUT, but they are not necessarily representing those institutions, but they are sharing this information which is applicable almost to any other institution. So we are going to be in conversation with them. And we also have Mr. Tembe. Mr. Tembe, he runs a college which trains in different skills. So we are going to be looking at all that. So I welcome you all, our viewers, our listeners. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We trust that this conversation is going to really, really help. I also would love to say, please, may we share with somebody, may we call or text somebody and let them know that we are on conversation with these professionals. And it's a very, very important conversation that we're engaging on tonight. So please make sure that you're informing somebody. Parents, let's make sure that we are informing our children, and let's inform our friends, learners. Let's do so. I trust that the information that is going to be shared today is going to be very, very helpful. And these professionals are here today to empower us. And I would love to take this time and say, ladies first. Dr. Minga, good evening and welcome to the conversation.
Good evening, Pastor. Thank you very much for having me. I'm actually very excited to be sharing the information that I have with the students or with the learners that will be taking their journey into higher education, into the higher education landscape. I'm actually very excited. I mean, the students are very close to my heart, and I would really appreciate this opportunity to actually help them.
Thanks so very much, Doc. And of course, even your dissertation, you researched about the role of uncertainty in information seeking behavior of first-year students, which is very, very critical. And these are the learners that we're talking about today. They are learners in grade 12, but they are going to be first-year students. And that's something that you're passionate about, and we really, really appreciate. And Again, I would love to take this time and welcome Professor G.P. Baloy. He's an old friend of mine. He's a very passionate man when it comes to education. That's why he's in the College of Education with UNISA. And I've seen him involved in communities when we do our outreaches to schools, to circuits, and he has been there. And it's such an honor to have Prof. Baloy with us tonight. And good evening, Prof, and welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Pastor Strike. Good evening, and also good evening to Dr. Minga. I appreciate this time for inviting me just to share the information about this most important conversation, because issues of admission in institutions of higher learning, it's very topical these days, and the competition, it's very high. Once more, again, Pastor Strike, thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Prof. And we will be joined shortly by Mr. Tembe, who runs his college, and we'll introduce him when he arrives. But I just want to say thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, Doc and Prof. Thank you so very much for coming through. Prof, you'll remember, and Dr. Minga also, because both of you, we've been running around together, going to circuits, going to schools. I just realized now that both of you, issues of education are very close to my heart. In fact, the education of our children, because I feel like Dr. Mandela said, education is a weapon you can use to conquer the world. And again, I believe that education brings light, and light brings development. And it's very critical for us to have our children going to school. I may not be able to leave a sum of money or a lump sum for my children, but if I can educate them, if I can take them to school, if they can have a skill, if they can be qualified in some field, they will figure out and they will survive. But I may give them money, but without education, it might even destroy them. That is why, as a pastor, I think most of my life and my efforts and my investments has been on the issues of education and supporting learners, supporting schools, supporting circuits, supporting even districts, because I feel it's very much important. And like President Zuma said, education is a societal issue. I believe that it's a societal issue. We have to all come to the party. We have to all do something. And I'm so excited to have you, Prof. and Doc, this evening to share information. And I would love for us to start by looking at, even before we talk of applications, looking at what we call maybe streams, different streams, because when I make an application to an institution of higher learning, I'll be looking at a particular profession or particular training or particular skill that I want to acquire. But before that, I have to have chosen the right subjects to pursue that. And I would love to hear from you, starting with Doc. What is your experience generally, and even your experience when it comes to children doing their applications? I want to do law, and you look at their subjects. I want to do medicine, you look at their subject. Are we doing well? Are we faring well? Because I must share this information. One of the subject advisors told me of something very painful, that there is a province that has been cheating when it comes to helping children on streams. That is leaving children or leaving learners to do subjects that do not form any stream, just for them to pass, have bachelors, and at the end of the day, getting frustrated, which I think is murder at its best. What is your experience, Doc, and what light can you share on that?
Thank you very much, Pastor Strike. That is a very serious area of concern, because over the years that I've been engaging with students and that I've been assisting some of those that actually come for assistance, we found that the streaming of the subjects are not aligned to what the learners or the students wants to do or wants to follow. Actually, the dynamics there are quite diverse, because sometimes you might find that a child might have some kind of love for a particular profession, but the lack of guidance in terms of the stream of subjects that they need to take is not there. So if we do not have our colleagues in the schools assisting these learners, we end up having serious challenges. I'll give you an example. You will find that there is a learner, there is a student who applies and they've got a bachelor's pass and they come to the university and say, I want to do a degree in auditing. When you look at the subjects that they have passed, the subjects are not part of economics and finance or auditing, that it will be necessary for them to have maybe a short course along those lines. And that in itself is a problem, because then it extends the number of years that the student is going to stay at varsity. Because sometimes if they are exceptionally good with the results that they have that do not form part of the stream of economics and science, somebody might suggest that they do a short course for a year so that they can actually get into the actual course. But in most cases, learners or students get rejected from gaining admission in the courses that they have applied for, because the stream is not aligned to what they want to do. And that is a very serious problem. We have seen people, learners coming with their statements of results at our institutions. And you can see that this student has done very well based on the subjects that they've been doing. Because you cannot have somebody who's doing history and geography and they want to do business economics and finance. It doesn't work like that. So given this opportunity, I would like to say to our colleagues in the schools, the teachers, you know your learners. You can actually guide them. You know their strengths. If you teach, and I may be corrected in this one, because some schools have a tendency of getting teachers to teach from grade 8 through to 10 on particular subjects. We know the learners. Let us assist them to be able to go into institutions of higher learning and do something that is very close to their hearts and something that they have the ability to do. Because if a child is good in economics, if you channel that child correctly, they will certainly do exceptionally well when they get into an institution of higher learning. Yes. So there is a problem there. And it should be, we need a multi-pronged approach to deal with this. It is the teachers at the school who can actually guide the students to say to them, look, you are good in this. Therefore, this you can follow. And this you are not very good. You struggle a little bit. I do not think that will be bad if a lecturer advises according to the ability of the learner. That is very, very important.
Thanks very much, Doc. And Prof, good enough. You have been a teacher, Prof. Like you said, you taught somebody while you were still a private teacher. You came a long way, being a private teacher and become a teacher. And what is your experience? And looking at that, more especially, you have that experience. You go back to high school, you know what makes for a child. And in fact, teachers, they have the grace to see and to have a bigger picture of a learner while you're taking them through. Like she said, that some they have the honor of having a learner who you'll be teaching grade 9, 10, 11, or even 12. So you know this learner very well. Yeah. And it reminds me one year when we had when we had one of the circuit that we adopted. The end of the year, they will come back and then come with results, and then we rejoice. I won't forget this one learner. The boy had quite some distinctions in different subjects, but the boy failed English. He failed language. And, I was so concerned. I said to the boy, can I talk to the circuit manager? Can we look at remarking? And he said, no, I've been performing like this. So there was nothing wrong. That's how he's been performing. But the question is, didn't the teacher see this? Was there no interventions? He might just be having a problem in some basics when it comes to English as a language. But he learned all these other subjects. He's got distinctions, and he learned them with English. So, Prof, having been a teacher, what is your experience, and what can you advise also to our colleagues, teachers out there? Because this is a joint effort. I must be honest, teachers are doing a great job. I'm a product of educators. I always say that is one thing that made me to go all out to support schools. I respect and I honor educators, but I've also realized that in the hands of an educator is the future of a learner. They can either squash it or let it fly. The story of the professor with being asked about the butterfly, whether this butterfly is alive or is dead, and he said, look, the butterfly is in your hands, whether to live or to die. You can squash it or let it go. So is an educator. The life of a learner is in the hands of an educator, whether to crush it or to let it fly. So what can you contribute in the light of what Dr. Minga has just shared?
No, thank you very much, Pastor Strike, and also Dr. Minga. She has just articulated some of the most important points. Let me also briefly share my experience when I was in secondary school, or when I was growing. I wanted to become a medical doctor. And if you want to become a medical doctor, you need to have a background of mathematics and science. But unfortunately, at the school where I was attending, there was no physical science. So my symbols were good. I passed well, and then went to Kian High. When I arrived to Kian High, actually I lacked some guidance. Actually, I should have been guided to take maths and physical science. So instead, I discarded mathematics and went to history. But my passion was to become a medical doctor. So my dream of becoming a medical doctor faded. Actually, the point that I'm trying to drive is we need to have a sort of committed teachers. Teachers must be fully committed at school. I mean, teachers are with learners almost every day. They must know their learners. Actually, they need to have a profile of their students. Actually, these are the teachers who know what their students are good in, good at. And of particular importance, it's a guidance subject or life orientation. This subject is neglected in most schools. I remember when I was teaching, guidance would be just given to any teacher.
With us, it was free period in our days.
Yes, it was also
that was a free period.
A free period. And that subject is very much important because that's where guidance of a student starts from. I mean, if you are guided from grade 8, then when you come to grade 9, you'll be able to choose appropriately your fields. But generally, our curriculum, it's too academic. But I'm happy now because it is gradually changing. It's too academic. I mean, there is no balance between general education and vocation education and training. That's why most of our students, they just go to sciences, to human sciences. We don't have so many students going to science field or engineering. But all in all, we need to guide our students. It shouldn't only be the responsibility of the teachers. Parents must also come on board. because parents have a role to play in the education of children. Because in a situation in which parents are involved in the education of their children, I mean, at school, we will have less disciplinary problems. So if we do have less disciplinary problems, it means students will proceed from one grade to another. So when they get to grade 12, they will be able to pass better with the good symbols. So in choosing for their future profession, they need to choose appropriately. They need to have a first choice and also a second choice. But of particular importance, choose a subject that are more marketable these days, because our students need specific skills. Yeah.
Thanks so very much, Prof. I really appreciate that. I would love to take this time and also appreciate and welcome all our listeners and viewers, our listeners on Bold Moves Radio, and also on Bold Moves Radio YouTube and Facebook page. Thank you so very much. I see Vicky Mutsipe, Mansakan Mabasa there, Grace Zakani there, Glory Gomba. Thank you, Pastor Sbusi. So Simon Dala, thank you, Papa. And then Charlotte Chabalala Baloy. These are educators. Thank you so very much. Sontak Maleke. Thank you, Pastor Sembe Lankulu there. Thank you, Julia Numalo, Dr. Julia there. And then Doris Nokot in Chalo, Machumele, thank you. But Amos Mo, Mango Aja. This man is a creator of Aja. Thank you so very much, Tinchalo, Machumele there. And then Mahasahom Tombeni, Andy Legumede, Shalati Mashele, saying, we are proud of you guys. May the good Lord continue to increase you and remain blessed to all of us South Africans. Thank you. Nathan Gwambiwa, thank you. And then Lorraine Kim Ballet, thank you so very much. Sylvia Ancona, Rosemary, Mashele, thank you. I'm just acknowledging you guys because I appreciate your being present. And let's take the message. Let's share with our learners. Let's share as parents, like Prof. Baloy says. It's important for us as parents also to be involved in the education of our children. And I know some of the parents will say, what about those parents who are illiterate? I must be honest, my father went as far as standard 2, my mom as far as standard 4, but I thought they were highly educated because they were very serious about our education. They will check on us. They will check our books when we come back. They will check whether we're studying or not. So, and I say to all mothers, all of you, you are educators. You are the one who taught your baby to walk. You're the one who taught your baby to talk. So you are the first educator. So please, and you're a very patient one. When a baby went 1-2 steps, you clap their hands and say, you got it, you got it. When they say, you could interpret, they are saying mama, and you encourage them. So that continues, my dear parents, and it goes a long way in positioning our children to study and to love education. Mama Onika Nkuna, thank you. Tembani Mhlongo, thank you. Tsako Fundisi Tsako Maleki, he's an educator also and a principal of a school and a man who loves education and who goes all out with his foundation, helping and motivating. Thank you so very much for being involved in education, sir, and lending a helping hand. Caroline Digama, thank you. Roland Masinga, thank you. And then Kensan Violet, Kensani Veronica, thank you. Pastor Joylene there, thank you. She's also an educator, this one. I have a lot of educators here. And hey, let's really do something. Chaveni Mukwebo, say, this one is a specialist in maths and science and is running around the country in those subjects. So thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you, Makadima Atsi, Carol Matabata. Thank you, Pascalista Kula. This one is a librarian in a university and very, very instrumental, in helping our students at varsity. Thank you so very much. Random Bowen, Stanford, Mashele, Desmond Mohobi. Thank you. This one is in Botswana. Thank you so very much, family. Suchauke, thank you. Surprise. Tabith Leloma Vuso, thank you so very much, Charles Mabasa. Thank you, family. And I would appreciate if you will share this with learners and let them come through. And if they have questions, we'll give them an opportunity to ask questions. We're taking a commercial break. When we come back, I will have one of our guests and I'll introduce our guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7.
24/7. Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika, nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika, nakupenda sana.
You're listening to Bold Moves Radio, and the program is The Conversation, and we are talking to Dr. Minga, Prof. Baloyi, and of course, my guest, that is Mr. Tembe. Mr. Tembe is running a college called TSP College, and that is Tembe Service Providers. This man also, he is an educator. So I have all the educators today here, and it's just such an honor and a privilege for me to host all these great minds that are here today. And thank you so very much, Mr. Tembe. You are welcome, and good evening to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor Strike, and good evening to everyone.
Thank you so very much, and thanks for coming through. Mr. Tembe is with us here in the studio. You can see even our pictures here. They are refined because we are right in the studios. But thank you so very much. And we have Mr. Tembe, we have Dr. Minga, we've got Professor Baloyi, who are with us in the panel tonight. And like I said, Mr. Tembe also, he comes from being an educator, and in one of the schools that were doing very well, Keton Numalo. And the subject we're talking about, to start with, even before we talk of applications, the balancing of subjects, the streams, it has been found that there is a province that cheats on that, just for children to do any subject that help them to get bachelor's. And the end of the day, a poor kid goes to varsity. What they have does not amount to anything, And another thing which also is of concern, and you'll clarify that, is with the APS scoring, this one, life orientation does not count much. And it's like learners are not told. And even parents, sometimes they are frustrated to say, my child did well, and she even got a bachelor. She got a distinction in LO and things like that. But when it comes to APS scoring, only to find it does not amount to anything. What is your experience? And I would love us to share this knowledge so that our children and our parents can really start there, so that we don't just. And today, I think one subject that is fashionable is Maths Lit. Maths Lit. It's maybe it's because even the Maths Lit, it's lit, and it's like it's an in thing. But we've got learners who can do well with maths straight, but Maths Lit, and some for the purpose of so that they may pass and pass well. What is your experience, Mr. Tembe, before we engage on this?
No, I heard Prof. Baloyi talking about this maths. I was a maths and physical science teacher.
Yes.
Yeah. So in most cases, learners they don't choose this subject, the science stream.
Okay.
And my experience is that they were told that these subjects are difficult.
Oh yes. And
the fact that you are told that this subject is difficult, and then it becomes difficult. It's like, for an example, if I can say, no, let us not use that particular door because there is a mamba or a cobra. Then no one is going to use that particular door. But because you were told, and then it becomes difficult. And another thing is like guidance. Like we used to have the guidance, but during those times, guidance was one of the very good subject, because it used to give us some direction what to choose, and then looking at your strength, and then you choose correctly. And another thing, the involvement of the parents, that's another problem. You check, we do have the private school, Congratilo Education Center. When we call parents, they come. When we have problems with, learners who are not performing, when we call them, and then they come. And when we say these learners, they must come, for extra lessons, and they bring them, and they come late and collect them. But that thing doesn't happen in our public schools.
Yes.
But when it's a private, I don't know whether maybe because they pay a lot of money. but they take care of their kids education. So if our public schools, our parents can understand the value of education, because if our learners are educated, and then we have a better country. So the problem, like you spoke about the maths literacy. You check a school where they choose, and then about 90% are doing maths lit in that particular school, because they are not guided. But I also blame educators somewhere, somehow, because we have that life orientation, because in that life orientation, that's where they must inform and learners about the choices, about the careers, and about good profession where you will just go and work after completing that particular. But you say people are doing courses, but they even stay 2, 5, 10 years without, and even deviating from what they learned, and then do something else. So I think if the involvement of our parents and then guidance nowadays is through LO, and it's like as you said, it's about people, they just go and play. It's a free period, and that subject is very important. So I think if learners can understand and choose correctly, and nowadays the resources, like I don't remember a house where there's no DSTV, and then learners there, they only check these other things, soapies and everything, but there are educational programs there.
Yes,
they must learn to sit there and there's maths, there's science, there's biology, there's all these type of subjects, and Google. If they can Google, if I want to understand graphs in terms of trigonometry, for an example, I can say how to draw a sine graph, and then you'll have different authors, different people that will teach you that particular. There is no reason to fail nowadays, because all the resources are there. The only problem with our learners, they don't use what they have. There is no, I don't remember a house where there is no DSTV. And smartphones, you Google, and then you get any information. If I want to learn about Newton's first law and the application of Newton's first law, I just Google Newton's first law, and then I'll get all the information.
Yeah. Thank you so very much, Mr. Tembe. I have educators tonight here, and this is so interesting. And, I wish, because another thing, that's one of the reasons why I got involved through my foundation, Bold Moves, which grew to be Bold Moves Radio now, is one thing that I experienced in the process. Because I remember a circuit we adopted, it was number second last in the district. I think in 3 years, it was in top 10, top 5.
Yes.
Little things makes the whole difference. The morale of the teaching staff.
Yes.
Because as John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls in leadership. Sometimes you find it's just a principal. You change a principal and the school is performing.
Yes.
And that's why I came up with this, and it was very harsh, but it's true. I'll say to the principal, this school looks exactly like you. So if they say it's dysfunctional, they are not referring to the buildings, they're referring to you.
Yes,
you're dysfunctional as a leader, and I think it goes a long way, because I don't see a reason why we should not be able to instill. But you said something about the involvement of parents, which is very crucial. And we experienced it in that circuit. And the second manager was very much disturbed and said, yeah, parents are not involved. I said, but what did we do to bring them in? Because that's another thing. We have to have ways of bringing them in. I remember in one school, I asked in that community that, what is the in thing? What is it that people love doing in this community? They said, too much. I then said, let's have culture day.
Yes.
We had a culture day in the school. Parents came because China and then we talk. And so it also needs us to be strategic, but to go all out. And I remember even another, in fact, it was in a second. And then the second manager said, these parents are not involved. I said, let me invite them. We invited the parents, they came. So I think, because I love it because you speak of a private school, but the concentration is public schools. That's why we have most of our children.
Yes.
That's why we have most of the poorest children that must have an opportunity to learn, to study, to become somebodies. So I think all these stakeholders must come to the party. Now, you have something to say.
Yes, and I want to add to the issue of the principal. You see, the principal is the head of the institution. It's the manager of the institution. And the manager must be creative. Must come with different ways of bringing these people, like parents, and also like colleague people like yourself, to come and motivate the learners. They need motivation. And one other thing with the managers, I like to calling them managers because that's what they are. It's not only to check latecomers, or it's not only to check whether the teacher did go to a class or not. It's not only about that. Managing, it also involves even trying to get resources. If that particular school is lacking in terms of resources, whereby you engage as donations. There are companies that are willing to donate so that the school can function. And motivating also your team. That as a manager, its principal it's a manager in any school. So if the principal can, or the manager, and I'm not talking about the second manager, I'm talking about, because the principal it's involved there on a daily basis. You can see what's happening. But like, let's say we have a shortage of books. It is the duty of the principal to come with strategies that, no, but we have a shortage of science books, or any type of book that can supplement what you have there. Then we don't have a DSTV. We don't have in science. We don't have, for an example, apparatus. We don't have chemicals to do experiments. But as a manager, what do you do that your school can have apparatus to perform? To do experiments. So it's very important that a manager must lead and then must come with strategies to also bring resources in the
and rope some schools. Stakeholders. If there are business people in the community, good relationship.
Involve these people. There are big companies there that are willing to donate the science kits and so on. But as a principal, I must be the one who must look around and make my school well resourced.
Very true. Thanks so very much. I see Pastor Ntsako, the principal, he says, yes, the morale, teamwork, emotional intelligence, work ethics, monitoring, these are the key these are key for a functional school. And then Dr. Manganyi, they're saying, choose subjects wisely or with your eyes wide open. Your school subject speaks straight to your job. It's not, if not, make the change fast. That's very true. It's about 19 minutes now to to 8 o'clock, and we are left with just almost 19 minutes, in fact. But I want us now to go to the issues of applications, issues of applications, and because I think what we spoke about, it talks to, then I'm going to apply for what. But now, if I'm helped from school, I chose the stream that I know this is what I'm going to do, then I can now apply. But with applications, we've got a challenge maybe as a country that we have a backlog, serious backlog. What is your advice, Dr. Minga? What is your advice when we talk? And now many universities, of course, they are open for applications for the next academic year. And our children, yes, it goes back to the school manager and his team, and sometimes they will tell you they don't have a computer, they don't have this and that and that. And these kids, our kids, because we must also understand, coming from the deep rural, some of them we really have to, you can see there's great potential here, but you have to take them by hand and help them until they do the applications. What is your experience and what is your advice, Dr. Minga?
Thank you very much, Pastor Strike. When it comes to applications, my experience is that a lot of learners do apply. There are a group of learners that apply to come to our institutions, and there are those who do not apply. Now, let me first talk about those that apply. Those that apply, because we know now that applications are online, and online applications are not easy peasy for everyone. There is a need for assistance. That is why I'm saying everything that we're talking about tonight requires a multi-pronged approach. And my colleagues have already mentioned that the parents must get involved, the teachers, our colleagues must get involved. The online applications are not very easy. For somebody who's not using this technical, these computers and these apps on a daily basis, it's not very easy. So I would implore our colleagues in the school setup to actually assist the learners. Some of the problems that we have picked up in terms of online applications is that a learner will apply at a particular school. They do not have email addresses and so on. So in the process of making that particular application, you've got to create your email address, you've got to create passwords of various things that you will be doing whilst you are applying to a particular university. And once they are done, they have hit the submit button. They don't check whether they have received an email. They do not upload the necessary documents that they need to upload. So in that case, most universities are unable to process their applications. Hence, you find that in our institutions, we still see people who want to come to the gate upon receiving their results. And when you go and talk to them, they'll tell you, I have applied, only to find that the application has been left incomplete and it cannot be processed. So that is one big issue. And if you want to try and help that particular learner, you find that they can't remember their passwords, they can't remember the PIN numbers that the system generated for them and so on, and it becomes a problem to assist them. So my advice, if there's a learner out there who is listening to this, is that the universities are open now. They are calling in for applications. Most of them are going to close around August and September. So if you begin making your applications right now, you need to have a notebook. If you make an application, for argument's sake, you are applying at Stellenbosch University, you are given a PIN, have your notebook, record all the things that you are creating as and when you apply at these various institutions. So that after a month or two, if you want to check what is happening to your application, you are able to check and you do not have to keep on changing the passwords and looking for the pins, or you just leave it because you don't know what to do. So in most cases, those that come and queue beginning of the year and say, I have applied, you will find that the application is incomplete. And in most cases, the problem is that not all documentation that are required have been uploaded. So again, the approach of having, and we rally as adults, as parents, as anyone in a community who can actually assist the students that are applying. We rally, we come together and we assist these learners because these things are a bit technical. And if you do not have an assistance, I'll give you an example. When I applied for my son at an institution that I'm working at, I had to phone some other people to come and assist me with a few things. Now, imagine somebody who is out there who do not have anybody else to call. It becomes equally troubling. And again, I would like to implore our guidance teachers, life orientation, if they come to the party and they learn these things, I believe and I'm convinced that if a teacher can learn these things this year, next year, the learners will sail. They will know what they will be doing. So we need to come around the learners and assist them because these things are technical. So that is our experience. And when universities say they don't want walk-ins, they mean it. These things are online and there is no turning back. And I'm sure my colleagues agree with me that we are not going back to paper-based. And what we see is that most of our younger brothers and sisters who are coming from the rural areas and so on, they come with their statement of results and it does not help at that particular time. It is too late. And what is very close to my heart is that I would like to request everyone who's listening tonight that if you know somebody who's got a learner, a child who's doing matric, please alert them to the fact that applications are open right now. Applications are open right now. And by the time they start going around after receipt of the results, it does not help them. It does not help them. We understand that there is money involved. There is registration, there is application fees that are involved. But at least each and every learner, like I will go back to what I said earlier, that the teachers know in a given class, a teacher will be able to say, this learner will get a university pass. And therefore let us ask him to apply and so on. I don't see that as discrimination, but I see that as the natural way of guiding the potential that we have in a particular learner. So let us have our guidance teacher do that and assist the learners so that they have applied and they have completed their applications. When they come and the application, when the results are published, the matric results are published, the universities themselves are able to say, you have applied on time, please come and report at the university at that particular time. It becomes very easy. It becomes very smooth because learners are unable to get that acceptance letter at the university. It's going to be very difficult if they have to come to the gate. They experience a lot of things when they come to the university and they are not allowed in. There are horrible stories that are going around that are happening to these learners because they know nobody. Anybody can take chances on them. They come from far. They do not even have accommodation. They get robbed. It's a whole lot of things that is happening to them that is not right. But if things are done right from the beginning, say for instance, a student has applied and is accepted at this point in time, or maybe by August, you know that if I get my grades well, I'm going to be going to Vets University. It is very easy because Vets University would have allocated you a class, will have allocated you accommodation. So you won't have to struggle at the beginning of it. And what pains us the strike is to see that our younger brothers and sisters coming from the deep rural areas, struggle at the beginning of the year.
Mm.
And they become prey to the people that are there waiting to rob them of the little things that they have, including money. Yeah. And also to remind them that when you apply late, the fees, there is a processing fee, there is a late application fee, then it becomes complicated and it becomes more expensive. Thank you very much.
Doc, I can tell even when I listen to you that this is really your heartbeat. It really pains you. And one thing that you said, which I think it calls for us to do something as churches also, because as churches, we have got educators, we've got different professionals in churches. I think we have to come to the party, making sure that schools in our communities, as a church also, it's a center which services the entire community. And I think it would also make a lot of sense in the community for people to go to church, is to help our matriculants. I think that's one other thing that I would love to say to my colleagues, that as churches, let's open our churches, let's guide these children. Even if we have one computer, help them apply to the dot, because this, I think, is very frustrating for a child at the end of the day. And when they come queuing, it's desperation. And they come with hope that something might come out, looking at their statement of results, and all that amounts to almost nothing. And I think it's very, very painful. Charlotte Mashele says here, if a school doesn't function accordingly, it reflects badly on the management. And at the same time, as much as the school is managed by the principal, he does not always interact with the learners firsthand. Therefore, the educators also must take upon themselves the lead to lead by good example. For instance, I'll paraphrase this because I've read it. She says, for instance, there is a school in a locality where they say 7:30, all kids must be at school. If not, they close the gates. But there are teachers who arrives way later than 7:30.
Hello, are we experiencing some network failure?
Yeah, it seems
Supervisor,
as if
for
there's
example.
technical challenges. I think it could be this load shedding.
Yeah. I see it, but I think it will reconnect. Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you, Pastor.
Yes, thank you so very much.
Now, thank you very much.
Also,
And maybe before you go on, Pastor, I just wanted to articulate the most important point that you have mentioned about the churches. I mean, when I did my master's degree, in parent involvement in developing learning. I think for churches to be involved in the education or to be involved.
I'm losing you, Prof.
Oh, I think I have a poor network connectivity.
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we're having.
Yeah, I think I have a challenges. Maybe you can just go ahead if you are able to hear me. Thank you very much. I have a very serious connectivity. Are you able to hear me, Dr. Mangani?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, Mr. Tembe? Yeah, I think it could be a network problem.
Yeah, I think it's a network problem. I think at this point it's only myself and yourself. And we can't
so what I was saying is that, I mean, if parents could be involved in the education of their children, I mean,
Okay, Prof, we lost you. We lost you, and I would love for you to, you were still saying when you did, whether it's your master's.
Yes, Pastor. When I did my master's degree, I think for churches to be involved in the education of the children is very much important. And I've made that as one of my recommendations. Most churches they want to be involved in the education of the children, but they don't know how. So I think it's important for us to begin to teach schools about the importance of the importance of involving churches and the various structures that have an interest in education. Maybe just to share briefly our experiences in one of the distance education institutions. The challenges that students always get is they don't have email addresses.
Oh, yes.
And the email addresses, it's important for them if they just want to apply online. Because walk-in applications are no longer acceptable. So the most important thing for the students is they need to have their email addresses and always check their email addresses. When they give them offers, they need to accept it. Majority of our students, they do not accept the offers. They need to accept them, because if they don't accept them and register, the offers are taken to other students. I think that is one of the problems that they have experienced. But all in all, I think Dr. Minga, sorry, my apology, has articulated a lot. I think she has just said a mouthful.
And then, Prof, on that note also, because from your institution, you do more of distant learning. What is your advice also? Sometimes you find that even though applications is the same, but you find that a learner is not received or admitted or does not get admission. Are there courses that you find one could advise, please, while you're pursuing that particular field, there is something that you can be doing, distant learning, and making sure that you are not just sitting back and be frustrated? What are your advices?
Yes, Pastor, because distance education institutions have the so-called short courses and higher certificates. Let's say, for instance, you just want to do law, but you didn't pass enough to do law. So in order for you just to be admitted in the faculty of law, you need to do a sort of a higher certificate program. I mean, upon doing that higher certificate program, it will give you an opportunity just to go straight and register for your law degree or your bachelor's degree. It could be a law or other fields. So doing short courses or higher certificate programs, I think it's key. Most of the students do not have this information. And again, we do have, some institutions do have partnerships with TVET colleges. So the students need to check there just to find out which TVET colleges are having partnerships with which universities. They can apply to the particular TVET colleges and they will be able to access higher education with much ease on their backyard.
Thank you so very much. And on that note also, as we round up, and I will just ask from my wonderful viewers and listeners, please, if you could give us 10 more minutes, because we had glitches with connectivity here, so that we round it up and be able to do justice to this topic. Mr. Tembe, you're running a TSP college. What is your advice? Looking at, one might have applied at varsity and not be taken, but there is something that at least they could be doing in the meantime. What are some of the things that you can advise from your experience with all the different courses that you offer as a college?
Yeah, my advice is, you see, we offer accredited courses. And SAQA accredited courses through CETAS. So these programs or the qualifications, like a prof was just saying, that there are those skills programs. So in our case, let's say you don't have time or to do the whole course of maybe 240 credits. But the skills programs that you do, it's just you do your qualification bit by bit.
Okay.
So that's why it's called a skills program. So my advice is that if maybe you did not succeed or to be in the university, or you did not have you have not been accepted, you can via through these qualifications, because they are accredited. And we have this thing that they call NQF, National Qualification Framework. So the National Qualification Framework, it's there to add the entrance or the entrance points or and exit points to higher learning.
Okay.
Which means you may not, for an example, you may not have grade 12. But through courses like the ones that are NQF aligned, you can do a course or a skills program that can you can even go up to a level of university, because this NQF, it's said that it's sort of they are trying to address the injustice of the past, because many, like our Black people, were disadvantaged to go to universities and technicons and TVET colleges. But for an example, if you don't have a matric, you don't have grade 12, you can do an ECD level 4. And that level 4, it will take you to higher certificate in early childhood development. And the higher certificate will take you to a diploma.
Okay.
And then the diploma, some of the when you have that diploma, because it's registered, and then some of the universities then they take you. But you see, it was a long,
a long way to
get there. But because of our situations there in our, especially Limpopo, which is too rural, but many people, they don't know these things. So this SAQA registered courses, because you receive an accredited certificate, endorsed by a certain seat. Let's say you want to go the route of agriculture, and then there is agri-seed. The education part, there is ETDP seed. So that's what I'm saying. A national qualification framework, it also increases the exit points to higher learning, and through these courses. So my advice is, if you did not manage to get an exemption for university, don't sit. Don't sit at home and then start crying, and then I did not go to university. Look at other options. There are TVET colleges. Look at TVET colleges. Via TVET college, you can, because, like, for example, they do electrical engineering, but through that TVET college, you can even go up to a level 1 when you have a degree. But you went via TVET college, because you did not meet the requirements at that time that you wanted to go to university straight. So, but this information is what our people out there, they must know, but most of them, they don't know.
Very important on that, because TVET colleges also are taken as if it's a dumping site for those who did not make it, which I think we have to change that mindset. Yeah, we have to change the mindset and make sure that these colleges are used to help, so that one does not just drop out and say, I cannot make it.
I know many people who went to TVET colleges that are even now employing other people.
True.
I mean, employing many people.
Many people.
But they just went to TVET college,
college
and learn the skill.
Yes.
You say if you can check the education system, Germany. It's mostly colleges, TVET colleges, and because it's where you learn your trade, skill. You may think that to do welding is something that is low thing. But how many learners? I mean, how many people they want butler proofs in their house? Gates. Because we need security.
Yes.
But where can you learn this thing of welding? You can learn that trade where? At TVET college.
Very, very important, Mr. Tembe. And somebody says here, learners also must apply in many different institutions of higher learning. I think that also helps, not just to apply in one, but applying right, and which I think is important for us to help them. Somebody is asking here to the panel, I feel before we wrap up, and this Charlotte Marshall, she says, what advice can the panel give on extended or augmented curriculum that are offered by other institutions of higher learning? Extended or augmented?
Augmented. I don't understand the question. Can you?
She says, what advice can the panel give on extended or augmented curriculum that are offered by other institutions of higher learning? Tim, do you understand this question?
Yeah, I think Pastor and the guest and also viewers out there, the listener wanted to find out about the responsiveness of the curriculum to the society. Currently, as Mr. Tembe articulated, program qualification mix is going on in all the universities. That is, they are redesigning their programs so that the programs should be responsive to the society. And also, in designing these programs, they are also adding so many elements. For instance, Africanization, Fourth Industrial Revolution, open educational resources, so that these programs that are offered in all the universities should be responsive. Currently, students pass when they apply for certain programs. When they apply for certain work, they are not accepted because their programs is not responsive. So currently, now the programs are being made to be responsive. I think that's how I understand it.
Thanks very much, Prof. We just left with seconds. We've taken the 10 minutes. I would love to say to Dr. Minga, what would be your parting shots to our learners, to our parents, while I also appreciate all the participants. I trust that the good thing is that this program is on YouTube, is on Facebook, so one can still visit it. And of course, we've got a youth program that is called Bay Waves, which we are repositioning. And I would love this conversation to continue even on that one and have more, in fact, have learners coming on board and asking questions, and taking responsibility. So your parting shots, Dr. Minga.
Thank you very much, Pastor Strike. This was a very stimulating discussion. And I realize now that we've got a lot of work to do out there. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I've been listening to the fellow panelists, and I realize now that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Prof. Baloyi spoke about our involvement in the churches. Mr. Tembe spoke about making the information known out there that there's a need for us to change the mindset. it's not everything. It's not that it is a must that when you do your matric, you have to go to a university. There are many other avenues that you can go, and you can be an accomplished career person going through those routes. And it's very important that I think I must put the challenge to all of us, that we need to go out there and speak to the communities and make this information known. Because if we sit with the information, it does not help anyone. But there's a need for us to publicize this information and open up avenues for the community to know that it's not university only. University is fine. It can be, people can go into a university, but there are other avenues that we need to look into where we can accomplish certain things that we do not have currently. And we can be able to entice some of the learners who are not particularly academic, who can work and use their hands. But we need to go out there and start working very hard to make sure the information is known, and to try and shift the mindset that focuses on going to a university at all times. And we make sure that somebody who's not able to get an admission at the university is not somebody, it's not a reject. You are still a human being. You have other things that you can do, and you can be able to do, but you need to take a different route. So that will be my parting shot as a challenge, that we need to stand up and start doing something for our communities. Thank you.
Thanks so very much, Doc. Thanks very much, Doc. We really appreciate it. In fact, I take that challenge also as a pastor, you know. That's why I also created this platform, Bold Moves Radio, and also connecting on Facebook and also on YouTube. It's in Xitsonga, you know, in we all have to do something. In fact, my challenge maybe is because now I've grown gray here and I'm a grandfather. I'm asking myself, when my grandson finishes his matric, what kind of life, or when my grandson becomes a young man, how would life be? How will South Africa be? You know, and what am I doing to shape it? Because if I don't shape it, he might find that there's no more South Africa by the time he's a young man. So, best attempt parting shots before we give Prof to give his parting shot.
I agree with Dr. Minga. We need to do something. You see a river that is flooded with water is because of the small streams that put water there. So what you are doing, engaging us in giving people information, it may look like it's a small thing, but it is not. It will make a difference. We need to inform our learners, our kids, about all the opportunities that are there in South Africa. Like Dr. just said, it's not about going to university. Like I was telling you about German education, people who are making BMWs, X5, X6, they don't have degrees.
No, they're from FETs.
From FET. And that is very, very important. And look, who doesn't want to drive a BMW?
Yes.
But it's not it's just even the designers. It's from TVET colleges. So you said that we must not consider TVET colleges as a dumping area for those who are like retarded or something like that. It's not about that. And our youth there, they must understand that, because sometimes when they go to a TVET college, they also feel inferior.
Yes.
But it's because they don't have information.
True.
So I'm happy you, as a church person, as a pastor, you meet different people, and then if you can share this thing with the congregation, Then they will pass to other other people, and
Yes.
then it will start spreading
True.
the knowledge that it doesn't mean that's the end if you are not accepted at the university. There are other options that you can do and that can make a living. Why is it everybody coming all the way from Afghanistan, wherever? Why are they coming here? It's because there are opportunities but we must make them aware, these learners, the people coming from very far, because they see opportunities.
Yes.
So it means we have to inform our people about the opportunities that are here.
Very true.
Yes.
You know, Mr. Tembe and the panel, I sit here, I'm a builder by profession. I remember when I had to go and do building, because I think this is one of the things that we have to also refine. You know, as a top 10, top 5 learner, my teacher said, Strike, what's wrong with you? Building is for people who cannot learn. It's all about
and it's not true.
You know, and believe you me, when we did our first year, we were 26, if I'm right, if not 28. When we did our second year, we were 2. All of them did not make it. But one thing that scared me, there's one of our classmate who went to Tibumben and did teaching. Even today is a principal. A boy building. So you see, this mentality of saying this is for people, it's wrong.
It's very wrong.
I think while I was still doing Minkondi, I think I interviewed one gentleman when they were the introduction of the FETs in South Africa. He was one of the people who went to Germany, the delegation that went to Germany to go and check there. And he said, hey, the parts that BMW, they enter aka FET.
Yes.
You know, and like you say, BMW is built not by universities students, no, by TVET college students. But, you know, and I'm saying this because educators also, we must be able to motivate our learners correctly. There is this thing of saying, college, university. It's wrong. We cannot all go to university. You know, and that mentality. So we are forcing a square peg into a round hole. Everybody must get in there. And that, we have got academics, researchers. We need them. They help us to see the next bounce of the ball. But we've got guys who must be technical.
Definitely.
And the technical guys, they are also involved in job creation. There's one guy, I was shocked. I went to a student rest of one of our daughter in the church in Venda, about 250 rooms, very for the university, very sophisticated, very high class student rest. Steel work, all the steel work in there is done by one guy, and I met the guy, clean, very, and I thought to myself, this guy, you see him, you think. But this guy, he did every butler proof, he did every steel work. He employed other people.
Yes.
And we must bring that balance so that there is no stigmatization of skills, you know, and we must have this balance. There are people that must be in academia, and they are good at that. They are researchers. They are good at that. But there are guys who are technical. They must do that, and we must be able to build. Prof, you're parting shots. You know, one gets tempted to continue and continue. And with that, Prof knows, and Dr. Minga also knows. And you know, with that, we built this church structure in 5 months.
And look how big it is.
We built this one in 3 months. Why? It's the skill that I have.
Yes.
Because in it, there is also management. I manage teams. I know there's quantifying, there's all these things. So I was in construction, which many people got into construction. They don't even know the size of a brick. I was a contractor who knows the size of a brick. So, and there are today construction is doing great. It's big, you know. But these are things we're discouraged. We're told, I'm like, Mita trelashtar den. Wabona wana la ma gondor. We're not told kurba la na ma boots na ma gondor. Some engineers were not told that. So I think these are things that we have to refine. We have to deal with those things so that it's right for me to go and do boiler making. It's right for me to go and do building. It's right for me to go and do welding. It's right for me to go and do plumbing.
Yes.
You know, I interviewed one man. I must not get excited. I interviewed one man who's very big today. How he started his business. This man, I ended the book, you know, doing books, you know, for businesses. So he was doing books for a plumber. He helped this guy, did his books well, and the man made money, and he bought a Mercedes-Benz. He said, I'm not going to be carrying the pipe in Mercedes-Benz. I quit. And this guy who was doing the books, he said, would you mind to sell me the business? He bought the business. And that is a man who has a bigger share at West Bank today. I interviewed him. He started plumbing. Plumbing makes money.
Yes.
Look, the block the pipe, and a guy comes and he charges you. And if okay, thank you. He goes. But because of the mess here, you pay anything.
Yeah.
So I think we really need this balance. Prof, your parting shots before we get too excited.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, colleagues. I think the time is right now that we need to rethink TVET college route. Currently, as I'm speaking, Pastor Strike and esteemed guests, I'm a council member for one of the TVET colleges in the Limpopo province. So much is happening in the TVET colleges. However, our students do not have any information of TVET college education. That is in general, they are into general education. I think the time is right now that we need to reach out the schools, to reach out the communities. We give them information. Because in the TVET colleges, students are also funded. There are NEFSAs. Some TVET colleges are also offering university education programs. So many universities are also starting to have a partnership with a series of TVET colleges. So it is in this regard that I say we need to rethink TVET college route. I mean, today I've really learned a lot about the TVET college. Mr. Dembe articulated a lot about TVET college. I mean, Pastor Strike, you have been to TVET colleges. So I think this is the way to go, to ensure that nobody is left behind. We need to do this as a team. Various structures that have an interest in education, let's rally behind this education. Because according to Sustainable Development Goals, we need to have a quality education. Quality education is almost leaky. But if we work as a team, we'll be able to make this a reality. I think that is all that I wanted to say to the listeners out there.
Prof, thank you so very much. Allow me, my dear, wonderful panel, and also I see our viewers appreciating the panel. I see Pastor Ntsako saying, thank you, Papa, and your panelists. You have brought balance, you know, blessings to you. I just want to say to my panelists, Dr. Minga, thank you so very much. Prof. Baloy, thank you. And then Mr. Tembe, thank you so very much for taking your time. And we let us sit here and you inform us, you equip us. One thing that echoes very clear is that these good things are not known. You know, information. We are living in an era of information. Information is everywhere, but honestly, people do not know. Our learners do not know, and we have to really do all it takes. We cannot even blame and say why. We have to do something. I think that's where now even the church, because as a church person, I believe that church is a school of life. You know. And I love, and Mr. Tembe also, you know, Papa was a missioner. And one thing that is true is that the church would be involved in education, will be involved in health, will be involved in all these things. And now even the president talking about reviving or building our economy. I think it's all of us broad-minded and encouraging education, both academic and skills, and make sure that we are building this nation. And I just want to say to you, my wonderful panelists, thank you so very much for coming through. I trust that this has been so beneficial even to our listeners and to our viewers. Thank you so very much, and may the good God bless you and bless the work that you are doing. But let us go out there, let us do our part. You know, I'm always asking myself, Local South Africa, what is my contribution? What is it that I will leave behind? What is it that I will be remembered for? Will they remember me because of my complexion, my height, my gray hair? I don't think so, but it's the contribution that we make. Hence, and I want to say thank you so very much, and the good God richly bless you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Streaming 24/7.
24/7. Bold Moves Radio.
Afrika nakupenda sana. Oh, Afrika nakupenda sana.
To all my listeners and my viewers, I just want to take this time and say thank you so very much. Really appreciate your comments, really appreciate you coming through, and it has been really very much enriching because of your comments. And let us do something right where we are. You know, if you touch as an educator, if you touch learners that you come across as a manager of a school, as a pastor, as a professional, let us all do something and build a better South Africa for our children and for our children's children. Thank you so very much. And this was the conversation with Pastor Strike, Dr. Minga, Professor Baloyi, and Mr. Dembe. Thank you so very much, and a blessed night to you all.